A cordial greeting. Today is Tuesday, September 24, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. At the time of recording this video, it is 7 a.m. in western Cuba, Florida, and the Yucatan Peninsula, where we are closely monitoring the progress of potential tropical cyclone number 9, which is expected to become Tropical Storm Helene during the day today. Currently, a hurricane reconnaissance plane is investigating the system and has found that it does not yet have a closed circulation center, which is why it does not meet the criteria to be classified as a tropical cyclone. This is due to the fact that southwest wind shear is currently affecting the circulation, associated with a trough located in the northwest of the Caribbean Sea. However, it is projected that this trough will begin to dissipate over the next few days, allowing the cyclogenesis process to begin, and eventually, the system should start strengthening. In fact, it is expected to pass as a Category 1 hurricane between Pinar del Rio in Cuba and the northern part of Quintana Roo. It will then move over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, where conditions will be very favorable for rapid strengthening, and it is projected to reach Florida's Big Bend as a powerful Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane, making landfall in the United States on Thursday night. Despite this projected trajectory, it is anticipated that the circulation of this future cyclone will be very large, so tropical storm force winds will affect the western half of Cuba and almost all of Florida. Take a look at the latest trajectory projections according to specialized models, which generally maintain this west-northwest trajectory over the next 36 hours, then make a turn to the north-northeast until it reaches some point between Florida's Big Bend and the Florida Panhandle. I repeat, although it appears that the center will stay to the west of Florida's west coast, the circulation will be very broad, especially to the northeast of the circulation center. Therefore, tropical storm and hurricane force winds could affect Florida's peninsula. As the system weakens, it will continue its trajectory over Georgia and Tennessee, and tropical storm conditions are expected to affect parts of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee. In terms of intensity, models continue to project that it could reach Category 2 or 3 hurricane strength, but there are still some models that project it could intensify even further to a Category 4 hurricane, which cannot be ruled out at this time. Here is the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center, which expects the system to become a Category 1 hurricane by tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday, as it passes its closest point to the northeast of the Yucatan Peninsula and very close to the city of Cancún. This is why a tropical storm warning remains in effect for northern Quintana Roo and northeastern Yucatan, as well as a tropical storm warning for western Cuba. A hurricane watch is also in effect for these areas in case the system strengthens more than expected. During Wednesday afternoon and evening, the system will make that turn to the north-northeast as it strengthens and passes just west of Tampa during Thursday afternoon, possibly as a Category 3 hurricane. Eventually, it will move over Florida's Big Bend. In pink, you can see where a hurricane watch is in effect, extending from north of Tampa to the Florida Panhandle region. Additionally, a tropical storm watch remains in effect for parts of western Florida and central Florida, as well as parts of the western Florida Panhandle. Let's look at the latest projections from the two best global models. Here we have the American model. In the latest run, it shows a strong tropical storm or Category 1 hurricane passing very close to or over the city of Cancún during Wednesday afternoon, and maintaining that trajectory towards Florida's Big Bend, arriving as a Category 2 or 3 hurricane on Thursday night. It is worth noting that the system will be moving very quickly towards the north-northeast, so tropical storm effects will spread far inland over parts of Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, especially on Friday. We also have the projection from the European model, which agrees with the GFS model. In this case, it shows the circulation center entering northern Quintana Roo during Wednesday morning, and although the circulation may remain well to the west of Cuba, remember that the wind field is very broad, and tropical storm force winds should affect the western half of Cuba. The system will then take that north-northeast trajectory, entering Florida's Big Bend on Thursday night. In this case, the model shows a Category 1 hurricane. However, remember that the European model tends to underestimate the intensity of these cyclones. On Friday, the system will continue moving north over the southeastern U.S. states. Today we have considerable consensus on the trajectory. It seems most likely that the system will make landfall somewhere in Florida's Big Bend, staying just west of Tampa. However, it is always important to monitor any deviations in the trajectory, but the consensus is quite high. These are the trajectories of the GFS ensemble members, and the European model's ensemble members also agree that the direct impact will be over Florida's Big Bend. Now, let's talk about the effects expected over the next few days across Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, Florida, and the rest of the southeastern United States. We begin by looking at the wind gusts expected over the next 48 hours in northeastern Yucatan and western Cuba. In orange and red, we can see tropical storm force winds, ranging from 40 to 100 kilometers per hour, affecting western Cuba and parts of northern Quintana Roo and northeastern Yucatan. Cities like Cancún, Playa del Carmen, Pinar del Rio, and Havana could experience tropical storm conditions, and even some hurricane force gusts may affect the region. Remember that these effects will begin tonight, Tuesday, and last throughout Wednesday. As the system passes west of the Florida Peninsula, we see in red the areas that could receive tropical storm force winds of 40 to 60 miles per hour, which include central and northern Florida. Cities like Cape Coral, Tampa, Deltona, Orlando, and Jacksonville could experience tropical storm force winds, while hurricane force winds will be felt in Florida's Big Bend and northern Florida. Clearly, we can see how large the circulation will be, and this will generate significant storm surges along Florida's western coast, so expect flooding along the coast. Tropical storm and hurricane conditions in Florida will be felt throughout Thursday, and the circulation center will then move over Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, also bringing tropical storm conditions to these areas, especially on Friday. Now, let's talk about rainfall. For western Cuba and parts of Quintana Roo in Mexico, rainfall accumulations of 125 to 200 millimeters are expected over the next 72 hours. Further north, in Florida, 3 to 6 inches of rain are anticipated, especially in northern Florida. Rainfall totals won't be extremely high because future Hurricane Helene will be moving very quickly to the north-northeast. Between Thursday and Friday, heavy rain is expected, with some rainfall totals exceeding 6 inches in parts of Georgia, eastern Tennessee, South Carolina, and western North Carolina. Finally, we can expect significant storm surges in Florida's Big Bend, with surges of 10 to 15 feet in some areas. Further south, including Tampa Bay, surges of 5 to 8 feet are expected. Well, that's all for today's forecast update. I will record a new video later this afternoon or evening to update this forecast. I hope everyone is making preparations for the effects of future Hurricane Helene. And to make sure you don't miss any content I'll be recording in the coming days, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you'll receive notifications when I post new videos. Well, that's all for now. Goodbye.